Welcome to the JP8 report. This is James Pierce. I'm your host. Today's episode is episode 9. I'm calling it Deceitful or Lying. Okay, I hope everyone's having a good day. We're just going to talk about a few items in this issue with Deceitful or Lying. You're probably wondering what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how compromise is in the air. Everyone wants to talk about, hey, we need to compromise, get along with each other. When you look at it, Democrats are insisting that the Republicans compromise and come over to their side, but you never see the Democrats wanting to come over to the Republican side and compromise with them. It's all for them, nothing for us. The president, he had said it the other day. He wants bipartisanship, and then when it looks like they're trying, they just turn their head and go the other way and do what they want. I understand there's a Democratic House and a tied Senate. The majority in the House is very slim. Matter of fact, one thing I'll talk about first is last night. Today is February 6th, so last night, February 5th, it was determined in New York in their 22nd Congressional District that Miss Tenney, she used to be the former Congresswoman there until 2018. She lost her seat. She won it back by 109 votes. So that makes the difference in the House of Representatives: 221 Democrats, 212 Republicans. The caveat to that also, we all know that Luke Letlow in the Louisiana 5th Congressional District, he passed away right before he was going to be sworn in. So March 20th, there's going to be a special election in Northeast Louisiana. There are several Republicans running for the seat. There's a few Democrats. The field is already set. They had a 3-day qualifying period. So March 20th is a special election. Julia Letlow, Luke's widow, she filed for the seat also, so she'll be running for Congress. I think this might be her first run at a public office, but that shouldn't mean anything. There's always a first time, right? So if the Republicans, when the Republicans retain that seat, it'll be 221 to 213. As you can see, it's getting slimmer and slimmer margin between Democrats and Republicans in the House. Nancy Pelosi should be very nervous about the prospects of that. In Northeast Ohio, Congresswoman Martha Fudge just got approved by the Senate to serve in Joe Biden's cabinet, so she has to resign her seat in Congress, which temporarily it'll make it 220 to 212. My recommendations is that someone find a Republican that has the ability to market themselves to Northeast Ohio in the 11th Congressional District, and RNCC and the RNC push a bunch of money into it and give them a run for their money and try to take that one from the Democrats. That would be an awesome feat, and it goes to show the nation that we mean business. Okay, you can't run roughshod over our country. That's not exactly a full urban area. You just got to try. So that would be good. But right now we're at 221 to 212. Okay, with, as you can tell, 2 vacancies because there's 435 congressional seats in Congress, in the House of Representatives. So this is my view. Um, since I am the JP8 report, um, and if you want to write me, you can write me at jp8report@gmail.com, or you can respond back to the podcast here. Matter of fact, if you're watching this, please subscribe. If you're doing it through Rumble, upper right hand corner you'll see subscribe. You can just click that and subscribe. Or if you're on the YouTube part of it, because my Rumble broadcasts through into syndication into YouTube. On the YouTube portion, you can hit click subscribe, and then next to it hit the bell, and the bell will give you notifications that I published a new episode. Okay, we're still on episode 9. That's what we're recording right now. So, compromising with the Democrats. Their view of compromising is my way or the highway. They don't want to listen to you. The other day, there was a group of 10 Republican senators that went in to meet with the president. It was Monday night. It was Senator Collins, Senator Romney, Senator Portman, Senator Murkowski, Senator Cassidy, Senator Caputo, Senator Young, Senator Moran, Senator Rounds, and Senator Tillis. They met with President Biden for over 2 hours. Came out, gave a press conference, and saying they had a nice long discussion with the president, and there was talking that needed to be done, and that they were going to continue to talk. And then, what's his name? Senator Manchin from West Virginia, he said, this bill will not go forward unless it's a bipartisan bill. So he said he was going to vote against it. So everything's all looking really up, and like, okay, good. They're going to talk about this and come up with a really good bill for the country. Now all of a sudden, Joe Manchin changed his mind for some reason and decided he wanted to be a Democrat. So they were entertaining what do you call amendments? They were called a votorama. So all kinds of amendments were being proposed to the bill and stuff. It looked like progress was being made. And then all of a sudden, Senator Schumer said he wanted to go back to the original version of the bill, and they voted on it. It was a 50-50 tie, and Vice President Harris passed it. So there was no compromise, no negotiations. It was my way or the highway, and now the bill goes to the House, and they're going to pass it. And then Joe Biden will get his first $1.9 trillion bill, and it'll put us at $30 trillion in debt. Okay. A couple other things is I had to think about was how can, when stuff like that happens, and it happens all the time, Democrats sound upbeat, they sound so upbeat, and they con Republicans into joining with them to get stuff done, and then the words of the Republicans that are used to help them with their bills and bill making, they use their words against them and make the Republicans look bad. We're supposed to build each other up, but they use every moment they can to destroy the reputation of the Republicans and the person that supposedly wanted to help with the Democrats. You can, one instance is, okay, so you have two areas. The impeachment vote, and then the vote against the mighty MTG, um, Marjorie Green. She was a lady that was from Georgia. She had like a 75%, 75% voting for her in her district. So she won 75 to 25. That's a 50-point spread. That is tremendous. Okay. But they had a vote the other day to strip her of her committee assignments because they didn't like the way she believed, in which she renounced a lot of that stuff she actually did several years ago. People make mistakes, and I've been known to hit click a few too many times on Facebook. It happens. You can't take everything to heart like that all the time. So she went out there and made a few speeches and said, "Hey, I'm not like that. I'm not this person." So the Republicans had a conference. She explained herself. I guess they accepted it, and then the Democrats had a House vote on her future in the Congress with her committee assignments, and they voted to remove her from 3 committees for this Congress, and 11 Republicans voted with the Democrats. Stupid move. Republicans are supposed to support Republicans. So it was Kitzinger, Malatakis, Cato, Fitzpatrick. Let me start over. It was Kitzinger from Illinois, Malatakis from New York, Cato from New York, Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, Upton from Michigan, Jimenez from Florida, Diaz-Balart from Florida, Jacobs from New York, Kim from California, Salazar from Florida, and Smith from New Jersey. And then and we'll go over the House impeachment Republicans, and they were Liz Cheney, and she's keeping her, even though I disagreed with keeping her as a House conference chair, the Republicans in the House decided to keep her. New point, let's keep it as it is, okay? And they did it behind closed doors in a secret ballot. So it was Cheney, Wyoming, Rice from South Carolina, Newhouse from Washington, Kitzinger from Illinois, Gonzalez from Ohio, Upton from Michigan, Bueller from Washington State, Muir from Michigan, Katko from New York, and Valadano from California. So just think about the those two lists. 3 names come up to be Kitzinger, Cato, and Upton. All 3 of them voted for impeachment and for taking the committee rights away from the people of the, I believe it's the 11th congressional district in Georgia, where Green is elected from. Took their voice from them. Okay, and I said it before. Kitzinger, his seat's going to disappear for the 2022 election anyway, because they're going to ride him out. Okay. So, what happened to bipartisanship? Is it non-existent in our country? Why are they doing this? It's all, in my view, it's a march towards socialism. Okay, they keep purging independents and Republicans. They want it their way all the time. If it's not a democratic idea, it's not a community-led environment, it's not a big government-related environment, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear us talk about voters' rights, about low taxes, about personal responsibility. They want it their way. They don't want to hear dissension at all. Restricting our rights. When I joined the Army and when I got sworn in my offices, you take an oath to swear and defend the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution entails all the articles of the Constitution plus the 27 constitutional amendments. Okay, every one of them. Last night, the First Amendment was upheld by the Supreme Court because Gavin Newsom in California, their governor, had decided you cannot worship at church in person, and the Supreme Court said no, you can't do that. You can open up for at least 25%. You got to give people the right to be able to go to their church and worship. Great, even though it was a 5-4 vote. Sheila Jackson Lee, one of our congresswomen from Houston, Texas, is proposing a bill to make a federal gun registry where you have to register all your weapons, even relics and antiques. You got to register all your ammunition. You got to fill out this ATF form that's 11 pages long. Our Second Amendment to the Constitution guarantees us that right to have weapons. Okay. You look at to the point where is this a weapons grab from the government, where only the rich people and wealthy people are allowed to own weapons because they can afford the fees that it will take to register all these weapons, and all the poor people, they can't afford it, or a lot of people that are not as affluent have criminal records, and now they don't qualify for the Democratic view of no criminal record, or in their view of how they want you to be. If you've missaid something in the past or made a simple mistake in the past, now you can't have weapons. Where does it end? Okay, we support and defend the Constitution, which means all the amendments. Okay, the first, which is our guaranteed right of the 5 basic rights, and then you have the Second Amendment, the Third Amendment, the simple ones. Okay, the basic rights, the right to keep and bear arms. Then you have quartering, which I do believe happened in Washington, D.C. when they made the National Guard soldiers leave the Capitol complex and go inside and stay inside of parking garages. I don't think they had the permission of those parking garage owners to even be able to stay in there. And then you have illegal search and seizure. You have the right to remain silent. A couple of days ago, there was a congressman insisting, one of the House impeachment managers were insisting that President Trump testify at that show trial they're going to do in a couple of weeks in Washington, and to defend himself. Well, the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution that we all swore to uphold and defend gives us that right to not have to go out and testify. Okay? Do not compromise with the Democrats. Don't. All you're doing is setting yourself up to be embarrassed by them and be used. Okay? We're not tools. We're American citizens. Our job is to live a life in peace and tranquility, and not to be servants. Okay? As serfs. That's what I'm going for. Okay? We don't live in an aristocracy. We don't, or a dictatorship. My personal view is that if the president writes an executive order, it should be followed up with a recommendation of Congress for legislation. 48 or 49 executive orders and actions have been signed in 2 weeks. Why? Why should we tolerate non-judicial action like that on a daily basis without the proper legislation to back it up? He is not a king. He is not a dictator. No president is. That's why we have a Congress. And if it's not good enough to be a law in Congress, it shouldn't even be enforced. States' rights, okay? I believe that's Amendment number 10. If it's not in the Constitution, it diverts to the states, okay? So watch who you hang out with, watch what you say. We're Americans, we have rights. We should insist on those rights. We should not be shamed. We should not be ridiculed. But I say the same thing for the other side also, okay? Oh, yeah. I forgot one thing. Cortez from New York, okay? How did she get to be so famous in the last few days when she said she was barricaded and threatened and she was scared for her life because the people were coming to get her on January 6th. And then come to find out she wasn't even in the U.S. Capitol building at all when everything was threatened. She was a 12-minute walk from the Capitol to get to the Cook House office building. She's faking the funk, okay? Don't even take her serious. She needs to leave Congress. Maybe Joe Biden will offer her a seat in his administration, and y'all can go elect y'all a legitimate congresswoman. If they're going to sit there and strip the rights off of committee rights off of a Republican, I'll tell you what, Kevin McCarthy may be the Speaker of the House in 2 years. We have a list, okay? And Miss Tlaib, Miss Omar, Miss Cortez, Miss Waters, Miss Pelosi, every one of them have been very insightful. And, Swalwell, Schiff, every one of them lie through their teeth and they instigate Republicans. They're disrespectful. They lie through their teeth on a constant basis. I bet Congressman McCarthy has a list 3 times longer than the ones I just announced. The day is coming, and there will be accountability for the actions y'all are taking against Republicans and toward the Americans themselves. We have to stand up for our rights. All right. So thank y'all for tuning in today. This was episode 9. Is it lying or is it being deceitful? Okay.